everybody. But we're also on tape. We are deep down in the bowels of Leafs music. Chris Folds, Greg the Engineer, Magic Mike, Bill, Full House, episode 56. Weird morning so far. Weird morning. Folds is yelling out his window, driving in. You're stressed today. What's going on?
The furnace.
It's not just the furnace, though. What else is going on? You just explain it so we can get out of the way right now. Why are you so stressed out right now?
Because it's money. I got no money. And the furnace is twice the bill, and it doesn't work, and the guy's coming back, and I'm just choked.
And you didn't go to Cold Control Mechanical?
Well, I should have went to Cold Control Mechanical, and maybe I have to go to Cold Control Mechanical if this doesn't get settled today.
I also walk in the door, and Magic Mike's complaining about his breakfast that he got. He didn't go to McDonald's, though. He went to somewhere else, and what happened?
I made a mistake. I should have, and I thought about it. I decided I was going to get a breakfast sandwich and a coffee and go for a car wash. If you notice, my van's sparkly clean. I go to grab my breakfast sandwich. It was all wrong. The coffee was all wrong. It's some sugary stuff. I don't need sugar in my coffee. I know this. McDonald's never gets my order wrong. And I should have gone there and
You didn't.
That's bad for me. So next time McDonald's, I will be there with a cheesy grin with my McMuffin, and very happy.
Episode 56, back to school special. We're going to go check out the TRU Wolfpack soccer teams. Huge year for the men's team. They're hosting nationals this year. And today, we're hosting our back to school panel. Your daughter, Veronica, is going to join us. What's she up to?
She's, this weekend I'm moving her down to Vancouver. She's going to UBC to get her B.Ed. And she has her psychology degree from TRU, and then she's just finishing up her B.Ed for 10 months. And hopefully by this time next year, she'll maybe be teaching.
Compare and contrast panel. So we're having 8-year-old Lena McCallum. She's my pal onto the show. She's going into grade 4 here in Kamloops. So we're going to have them both on, talk about what they're excited about. Maybe they have some anxiety, some fears about going back to school, and we'll just have a chat with them. Mike, did you like high school?
I loved high school. I was part of the AV club.
Of course you were.
I was the AV club. And I was just talking to one of our guys about this. I was doing video dances for all the schools and doing sound for bands. And plus, I just liked the social aspect of high school.
Yeah, so did I. What about you?
High school is all right. The greatest years are grade 6 and 7, and then it went downhill from there.
I was the opposite. Grade 8 and 9, I got bullied pretty good at school, and then I had a good finish. Grade 10 to 12, rugby. I loved the whole social aspect. I didn't do well in school.
I think 8 and 9 were the worst. Going from elementary to high school was really tough, and then it got a little better in 10, 11, 12. But the glory years are 6 and 7 for sure.
All right, let's talk about some news in Kamloops before we move on to the panel. Ron and Ray Fawcett, first of all. I didn't tell you we were going to talk about this, but these people in the city, it's amazing what they do.
Yeah, they're philanthropists. Ron and Ray Fawcett, they of course own Kelson Group, which is the big developer of mostly rental properties, but they've got a couple of ownership buildings, and they're developing City Gardens downtown, that massive, the biggest development in the history of Kamloops. Well, they were also the proponents behind, the driving force behind the yet-to-be-realized Kamloops Center for the Arts, that controversial $70 to $90 million art center proposal for 4th and Seymour. And the last referendum, which was canceled because of the pandemic, part of that referendum, the Fawcett's had purchased the TELUS Annex building. It's a building next to the TELUS building at 3rd and St. Paul downtown. And they purchased, I think it was a $10 million value they purchased, and that was going to be for the offices of the Symphony, Western Canada Theatre, and other groups to work out of while, next to this beautiful Performing Arts Center. Well, the Arts Center is still, in theory, we don't know if it's going to ever happen, but they still own that building. So this week they've announced that construction is almost done, and the Western Canada Theatre, the Kamloops Symphony are moving in there in October. And it's called the Kelson Hall Center for Arts Education. And the neat thing is, they're going to move into there. They're going to have little theaters in there. They're going to have classes in there. But once they open, the Kelson, the Fawcett's are handing it over to the city free. The city owns this thing. Yeah. We own this thing. The taxpayers get to run this thing, which I think is pretty cool.
So it's not just those two user groups. It's going to be an arts hub, is what they're calling
Arts hub, and hopefully they're hoping this is what is a catalyst to really get that whole area to be a center for the arts. And they still want that center for the arts on that big.
It's not a replacement. It's just an interim thing to.
No. This is always part of the process. But this is going to be there regardless. But they want the arts center to be right next to it.
Mike, as an arts guy, what does this do for the community?
I think anytime you have ability for people to have space to learn and grow in, that's awesome. I'd like them to have some space for me too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But I think it's going to really help grow things, and it is just a lovely thing that they've done. Having everybody together too. Can you imagine the theater and the symphony together, sharing a water cooler? What kind of things?
Yeah, they can collaborate much easier, right? Yeah,
And
absolutely.
we've already got two groups that are well known for what they do. We're lucky to have them, so I think it's a good thing.
Pride Week and politics come together. Jesse Ritzie.
Jesse Ritzie is the latest candidate, ever-growing list of candidates to announce he's running for council in the October 15th civic election. If he's elected, he told us that he may be, as far as he knows, and we know, he would be the first openly gay city councillor in Kamloops. Now, there may have been openly gay councillors before my time here, but I don't think there have been any so-called out councillors since I got here about 15 years ago.
And where does that bring us now as far as the number of people, candidates?
There's still 5 people who say they're going to run for mayor, and I think my list, and it's online at kamloopsthisweek.com, I think we're at 21 people who have now said they're going to run for council. Of course, they have until September 9th to file their nomination papers, so on September 9th at 4 p.m., which is a Friday, we'll have the final list. But right now we're looking at 5 for mayor, about 21 for council, of which 8 are elected, and then there's 4 for school board so far.
Cool. I went out yesterday to McDonald's to meet one of their employees. His name is Nick Thompson. He's super jacked about Pride Week. He told me about his job. We're going to meet him later, and I do love McDonald's. We know that. So every single day I go to McDonald's. Mike, can you just help me out with some sound effects here? And I have between 7 and 16 McDonald's coffees every single day. And I get so charged up. I do. It's insane how charged up I get. I run all the way down from Upper Sahalee to New Leaf Produce Market, and I start doing laps around it. And then I go inside and I start bench pressing flats of strawberries, which are on right now for $69 for a 12-pound flat of strawberries at New Leaf Produce Market, Mike. And then, where are they from, those strawberries?
Abbotsford, Neufeld Farms.
Neufeld Farms in Abbotsford. I'm so tired from all the bench pressing and running, I have to have a nap. So where do I go? Sealy mattress at Gord's Appliance and Mattress Center. And when I'm there, I learn about Gord's Giving Back, where they're giving an appliance or appliances to someone in need every single month. You can apply online right now at gordskamloops.ca. When we come back, we'll get to our back to school panel.
Do they sell furnaces? I need a furnace.
Yeah, no, that's Cold Control Mechanical.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Or maybe Gord's too.
Maybe he can give me one. I'm in need.
No, you gotta pay. Don't want the 9-hour cycle, please. Freaking $500 hydro bill, piece of trash. I need to speak to Gord on the Niner.
Hey, no, I'm actually Steve, the new owner.
First things first, pal. You should probably update your sign. Number 2, my dishwasher is tangled again. The 9-hour cycle, hydro bill through the roof. You guys don't fix appliances, I know that, so I need a new one.
We actually do fix appliances, but if you want, I can show you some new ones first and have a look. You got a price in mind?
Money's not an obstacle for me.
Money's definitely an obstacle. He's the cheapest guy in Kamloops. Ain't that right, Darby?
Well, this here is going to be your Cadillac model, top of the line. This is our middle of the road dishwasher, just a great dishwasher at a great price. This is our budget friendly model, still a great dishwasher, just at a bit of a lower price.
Price doesn't work for me. Let's see if you can fix mine at home.
Alrighty then. There you go, seems to be good. How's the fridge working?
The fridge is fine, Gord.
It's Steve.
Okay, we're ready to go in 3, 2.
Welcome to our back to school panel. This is Lena McCallum. You're 8 years old, going into grade 4. I think they call you Curious George at school, is that right? No, but you are one of the most curious people in your class, I've been told. This is Veronica, you're going to UBC.
Yes.
Okay, Lena, let's start with you. What are you most excited about going back to school?
Seeing my friends and playing outside.
And what about your teacher? Do you know who your teacher's going to be?
No.
Who's the best teacher you ever had? Do you remember?
Probably one of my teachers named Madame Dona.
And what did you like about her?
She was always silly and she always gave us treats.
Hold on, Madame Dona. Is that at the French school? Do you know Madame Dona's son is one of Veronica's best friends?
Oh.
Yes.
Oh!
Popcorn Dan.
Yes, Popcorn Dan! Yes.
Why is he called Popcorn Dan?
Because he worked at Cineplex when we were in high school, so he'd bring home the huge bags of popcorn for us to eat.
Massive bags of popcorn. I call him Popcorn Dan. He works at Costco now. Isn't that weird? Your best teacher is Veronica's best friend's mom.
It's a small world.
And I think you like popcorn too, don't you? Absolutely. Okay, Veronica, let's start Canucks Autism Network. Before we ask you about school, you want to plug the Canucks Autism Network.
Yes, I've worked for Canucks Autism Network for 3 years now. It's an amazing program for littles up until the age of about 12. We teach them sports such as soccer, basketball, swimming, gymnastics. It's a lot of fun. It's a really good community for just connecting with parents and kids alike, and it's a really great support system as well, and it's just so much fun. So if you're ever interested in even working, volunteering, or signing your kid up on your own, it's just canucksautismnetwork.ca. So.
Great job, great plug. Let's ask you about school now. Your anxieties, what are you looking forward to? Where do you want to start with going back to school, to university?
I'm pretty nervous about the workload. It was my first year off. I did a couple online classes and worked full-time, but I mean, I worked full-time in a school, so it's going to be kind of weird to be a student again and not a teacher this year, but I mean, I guess that's the goal we're working towards anyways. So yeah, just the workload I'm really nervous for, but excited for a new city.
And you've been to school already, to TRU.
Yeah, I got my degree in psychology this past April.
And now you're kind of switching gears a little bit.
Yes, I originally wanted to be a clinical counselor inspired by my stepmom, Christopher's wife, Catherine. And then I kind of just got more experience through the years and realized that I wanted to be a teacher. And that's kind of where my roots came from anyways. I wanted to teach all the way until high school as a kid, and then thought clinical counseling, and now I'm back to teaching, and it feels good.
Lena, do you know what you want to do when you grow up?
Not really. I did want to be a scientist.
No, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
So you're excited about going back because you're friends. Is there anything that scares you about going back to school?
No, not really.
Nothing, eh? What about bullies? Is there any bullies at your school?
There's this one that I've seen before. She's kind of mean, and I don't really know her name, but I've seen her before. But I've never seen her bully someone.
Well, we don't need to say her name, but what happens if you saw this person bully somebody? What would you do you think?
I would say stop bullying them, and then I would go tell one of our supervisors around the school.
Well, that's a good answer right there. I think isn't there a bench at your school?
Yeah, it's called the buddy bench. You go to sit on it if you're being bullied or if you have no one to play with. And then usually somebody would come and say, "Would you play with me?"
Mm-hmm.
Really?
I love that.
That's a great idea.
Veronica, I think you had a question for Lena.
Yes, I wanted to ask you, if you could be a teacher for one day, how would your day look in your classroom?
I would let them play longer, probably.
Yeah.
Veronica, what do you remember about being her age and going back to school?
Going into grade 4.
Just lots of excitement. Like, again, wanting to see my friends and play with them. And I also looked forward to, what's going to be the novel study this year. I really liked that. But yeah, just the social aspect of it was really exciting, and, fall, back to school shopping.
Mm-hmm. You're concerned you're going to have zero social life. And we went to Barcelona together, and I was telling you that's just total BS. You're going to be able to, talk to some people, maybe a relationship in there, but you think you're going to have no time for anything.
I think I'm going to have no time for anything. I've reached out to so many past students, and they're like, no, you have no time to breathe. Just buckle in for a year.
It's a condensed B.Ed program from, I think, a year and a half or 2 into 10 months straight, so it's probably pretty intense. But
what about for you? Because you're basically an empty nester now. I mean, and I've seen a lot of you got your emotional, weird Instagram posts that are just photos of your kids, and there was a big stage there. Maybe you're still, what's it like to see your kids go off and
it's nice. It's good that they're doing. Proud of them. They're very smart kids, and they know what they want to do, and they're hard workers. They both, because of my furnace woes, I can't afford to give them any education money. So they both work hard. They both pay for their own education through work and through loans, just like I did when I was their age, and for the last couple of years, they both were living away. Adi was back east at McGill, living by himself, and Veronica and her friend have been renting a place in Dufferin for the last 2 years. But they can stay if they want, right? That's the rule. Is if you go to school, you can stay as long as you want, don't pay rent. But once you quit school, you got to pay rent. So I've been an empty nester for a while, and this is really nice to see her go down to UBC.
What do you think makes a great teacher, and why do you want to go into teaching?
I think what makes a great teacher is having that fun work balance. So like I said, I wanted to be a clinical counselor to start, but I think what makes a great teacher is you also get to play counselor. So like two of my favorite teachers who inspired this whole journey for me were my two 7th grade teachers, Steve Powery and Tracy Clark. And you know, they stayed after hours. School was out at 2:30, but they'd stay with me till 6:30 just to talk and about my problems or talk about just fun things that happened in the day. And I guess the opposite of that, some teachers that I wouldn't remember, or I guess I remember for the wrong reasons. It's 2:30 and they were in the car at 2:32, like driving home.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to get to play counselor with them, you know, at 8:30 every morning for 5 days a week. You get to see them right from their home. So if they had a bad morning, you get to be that first person that gets to talk it out and turn around their day. So,
Lena, did you ever have a teacher that you didn't like?
No, because I love all my teachers because they're all nice.
Do you bring them apples at the end of the year, every day probably?
Does your mom and dad buy them a present at the end of the year? Yeah, like
Yeah.
a Purdy's chocolate or something like that? Or a Starbucks card? Yeah, that's good.
Okay, Lena, how's this for a question? If you could change the world, how would you change the world? If there's one thing you could do to change the world, is there anything that you would like to change?
No, not really. I would, if I would change the world, I would change that there was no wars.
No wars.
Good.
great answer.
Yes, that's
is
a good.
great
That
answer.
would be a good start, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Folds, you got any questions?
No, that's. I just think it's great. You got the one generation, almost another generation going up there, and the interesting thing is, and I read this a couple of years ago. It probably still applies today. The world is going so fast and changing so fast that by the time you graduate, by the time you're Veronica's age, you'll probably be doing a job that doesn't even exist yet. That's how things are changing so fast. Isn't that crazy?
So crazy.
So you might not know what you want to do when you grow up, but you might not know what you want to do because you don't know what you're going to do. It's crazy.
I got a question. Embarrassing. Were you ever embarrassed by your parents on the school grounds before, or in any way?
So Christopher would, or my dad, I guess I call him Christopher, but he would like always write editorials about me, but he wouldn't say my name, and they really, in hindsight, were not embarrassing, and I have so much regrets about it because I'd go into my classroom, he'd only say, you know, my daughter, my son, but all my teachers knew that I was Christopher's daughter. And I remember one day, it was like middle of elementary school, it was like, you cannot write about me anymore, like I want you to promise me, and there wasn't that many editorials about me after, and now that I'm old enough to like go back and read the editorials, I'm really sad that I like made him promise me that because I was so embarrassed in the moment because he'd write about like me having a spider in my shoe and being scared, and I go and everyone's like, oh, your dad wrote about you and a spider yesterday. But I think I regret being that embarrassed because I think they're really lovely editorials.
What about you, Lena?
No.
Have you ever had an embarrassing moment at school in general?
No.
Nothing, eh? What about sports? What are your favorite games actually in gym?
In gym, I like California
Oh,
kickball.
that's a good one.
One of the best.
The best.
There's a game called Star Wars Tag. It's kind of like dodgeball, but a bit different.
How do you do that one, and why is it Star Wars? He loves Star Wars.
He loves Star Wars.
Greg the Engineer. So how do you do that one?
I'm not really sure why it's called Star Wars Tag, but there's like people on each side of the gym, and you have to run from each like other side, and then they throw balls and try to hit you.
Oh, like the lasers or whatever. Yeah.
So you speak French too, right? Can you say in French, I like Star Wars and I like Greg the Engineer?
J'aime Star Wars et j'aime Greg the Engineer.
Okay, Veronica, you want to wrap the segment here with whatever you want to talk about, anything on your mind, school-wise?
Right now I'm trying to just not think about school. I'm just trying to think about my move and getting all my boxes in my car.
What about back-to-school shopping? Hey, your backpack, that's an issue, isn't it?
What's
happening
going on?
with your
What's going on in the backpack?
Everything in my backpack is so messy and it's all dirty, and my backpack is starting to rip.
And your mom hasn't gone back to school shopping yet, has she?
No, but we're going to really soon.
I would hope so, Ashley. Okay, that's it for our back to school panel. We're going to ask you to stick around for one segment called Folder Dash because it's an absolute beauty.
Awesome.
Okay, Lena, you're done. You did an amazing job. New Leaf Brothers Market. Straw. Berries.
Herman and Steve, they're best buddies. They're in cahoots with the strawberries.
Newfelt makes them down in Abbey, and Julie takes them back to Gammy.
Folder dash?
Folder dash.
Folder dash? Folder dash.
So today's word is testosterone, and it's just about a text that you sent. We were in France together. We were in Sommières having this nice dinner in this courtyard, and somehow we got talking about this guy that you knew. I think it was in high school, and I don't know what you guys were getting up to, but your dad found out and didn't like it, and he ended up sending this guy a text, and I read this text out when we were in a courtyard, just the three of us, and like I couldn't get through it. I was crying, laughing.
You were laughing pretty hard.
Yeah. Anyway, so Fold, set the stage before I read this text about what happened, as much as you can tell us, that led you to this level of anger.
Well, you know, Veronica was in probably grade 9 or 10, 8, 9, 10, and she had been hanging out with her friends and been a good kid, but then I had, she was out late one night, didn't know where she is, went to her friend's house, and anyway, she comes home, it was after midnight, and I took her phone away, and on the phone, you know, you take the phone, you're grounded, and then on the phone there's some messages to her and her friend, and it indicated they might be partaking in the marijuana. And she, to this day, she denies they were, but whatever. And then somehow through that, I found out that there might be a certain young gentleman who might have been selling these kids the marijuana. And so I didn't, and I overreacted, obviously, but in the moment, any dad would, you don't want your kid veering off and ending up with a life of ruin. So
how does your recollection match up with what he just said?
I think overreaction, it's finally good to hear that, actually.
It's a little overreaction.
After all these years.
Yeah. But, you know, at the time, you didn't want you protecting your baby girl, so I sent the young gentleman a little text just to say, hey, you know, I know what's going on, and just pretend she doesn't exist and go on with your life, and everything's good.
Yeah, let's see if it was that kind.
We happen to have the text. You undersold a little bit how it goes, so in comes Foldsy. And it starts off calm, as it normally does. Just, hi. He says the person's name, which we'll leave out of it. This is Chris, Veronica's father. I am certain you are aware of all that has transpired. I do not care to discuss in any detail what you do or how you live your life. But you really need to understand very clearly when I say here and now that I do not want you to be in contact with my daughter from this point forward. No texts, no calls, no conversations at school, no attending her work, no eye contact. Pretend Veronica does not exist. Do not reply to this message. Simply honor my request, and this ends here and now. Do not honor my request, and we can take it to the next level. Have a good night.
My favorites, have a good night.
At the very end, he always ends with something punchy.
Well, in the retrospect, it might have been a little bit over the top, but at the time...
It was effective.
Well, did he ever talk to you?
Never again.
Yes, so, and I think he turned his life around. He's doing okay, I hope.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What type of memories does that evoke in general for you?
You know, it actually evokes the biggest memory is like getting to know and respecting my stepmom, because she was very new in my life. I know it feels like it all comes back to Catherine, but she's a clinical counselor, and thank God for that, because Dad thinks I'm just like ruining my life. It's thrown away. I'm 14, tried a little bit of marijuana, but then Catherine comes in, who's seen it all, dealt with it all, and she's like, you need to take a chill pill. And she's like, this isn't bad. Veronica's fine. Let her live. And so, yeah, he went from me coming home to being like, you'll never see your friends or phone again. You come home every day and you go to bed. And the next day he's like, let's just drop this. Yeah. I talked to Catherine, we're good.
And you guys have a pretty close relationship, and you still find it tough to be away? I mean,
yeah, from Christopher, it's going to be really, really hard, because I still, you know, go to his house whenever I'm having a problem or like I'm stressed out, and we are really close. So I think that's probably my biggest stressor of going away. But like he said, he's just a phone call away, so it should be okay.
And my brother's right there and everything. So
you kind of talked about this already, but the protective, because I don't have any kids, I don't know what it's like. But what is it like when that protective gene or feel kicks in?
Well, I think probably women know it better than me, or moms know it better than guys, because I think moms are even more protected, because there's that whole mama bear thing. If you if you go see a bear, a mom bear, she's going to kill you if you get between her and her cubs. You know, there's no father around; he's down at the pub probably. So it's just that it's that visceral you want to you'll kill for them, and you'll react.
You do.
So, but you do anything to protect your kids. I think it's just common.
No eye contact is my favorite line by far.
Have a good night.
That's the one that got me going. Okay, final thoughts from you.
I'm gonna miss this, but it's been an honor to be finally at the red table before I go. I think this is a very big wish that's been fulfilled.
Well, you watch our show. You are
I love
supporter,
the show.
but also a critic.
Okay, I guess.
Sometimes.
Oh yes, I'm a little bit of a critic,
I've seen some of the text
I think you've had some great guest choices this week. I think it's been good, not to be biased, but yeah, this has been really fun, and I'm gonna miss everyone. And thank you for having me today.
Yeah, thanks for being here. In our next segment, it's brought to you by McDonald's. Yesterday I met Nick Thompson. He told me about his job. He's the market people lead for Merit in Kamloops. It's all about inclusion, and we can meet him right now.
A lot of diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. So we are educating our crew and staff on different things like pride or just diverse cultures that we have working here. So we talk about like Diwali and stuff like that.
That sounds like a really unique position that maybe other companies don't have. I mean, what does it mean to you to be able to have that kind of position?
It's really nice. I actually love this position. I get to learn a lot about a lot of cultures, which is very interesting to me. And as well as educating about some things that I'm passionate about. Pride is one thing. I'm gay, so it's nice to be able to educate our staff on stuff like this.
That right there is Dylan Hooper of the TRU Wolfpack men's soccer team, another great LED pick. This is like every week he gets a shot like this, some kind of great shot. Anyway, if you don't like soccer, you don't like university sports, that's fine. If you're a sports fan though in general, this is the year to follow this team. Hosting a national championship in November at Hillside Stadium. They have an automatic berth. They want to get there on their merit, as you would love them to do.
Absolutely.
Last year was a major disappointment for the team. They were supposed to be really good. They finished with 4 wins, got knocked out in round 1 of the playoffs, and they will tell you that a lot of that had to do with some players that they lost. And I actually believe this. This isn't just a blame it on the injuries thing. Legitimately, they lost 3 of their best players for various reasons. Josh Banton, Joost Hosendorf, injured first game of the season. Banton was an eligibility thing. He decided to sit out the season so he could play this year, his last year. And then Elijah Dos Santos went home for personal reasons. So they were all out. That's a big chunk of your soccer team that's out. Those guys are all back this season, and their number one thing that has crippled them in the past is their inability to score. Last year they were 11th in scoring. They seem to think that they've found the solution in a couple of people, but most notably probably a Kamloops kid named Alessandro Comita. He's the stud player.
Came back, right?
Came back. He was at the Whitecaps Academy. He's come back. They also have a guy named Ante Gergic, who they're super pumped up about. And my guy, my most electric guy I think that you have to watch is Daniel Sagno. Unfortunately, I found out yesterday, there's some academic issues that are going to keep him out for a little bit here, but if you haven't seen this guy, you got to go and check him out. And League One, he was in the League One team for Rivers FC, he was electric, but what do you think about League One and how that might help this team?
Yeah, I think it's neat because League One is the brand new semi-professional soccer league that just started this past summer. Kamloops has a team, and I think 90-95% are Wolfpack players. So they're playing other teams. So what is that? A rising tide floats all boats. They're all going to get better, even the teams they're playing, because they're playing in this really highly competitive league in the summer, coming into the fall season. So I think you'll see it on the field when you go to the games.
And you watched the video that I posted. We're going to play it in a second here. And I asked about the coaches poll. Did you sense, like John Antelov, when I asked him, I don't think he really liked the question, or maybe he just didn't like that poll, because they were ranked 5th. In the poll.
Yeah, and sometimes people will say, well, the only poll that counts is election day or the championships, right? But it also might give them, they're opening up against UBC tomorrow, August 26th. UBC is ranked number 1. So that could be, I would rather my team be ranked low and be pissed off about it than being ranked high and get too high on their laurels.
They can use it as a rallying cry as well.
For sure.
Dylan Hooper, Ryan Lewis, Patrick Izzet, those guys all come back. They're hoping to score some goals. The other side, it's the women's team. Another young team. This is Mark Pennington's 4th year. Apparently they had another huge recruiting class, big recruiting class, so they may struggle again, but they had some good results in the preseason. 1-1 tie with Saskatchewan, 1-0 win over Regina, and 1-0 loss to MacEwan.
Yes, my alma mater.
Your alma mater.
Yep.
And MacEwan was 10-2 last season.
That's right. Well, they're always good. The Griffins are always good.
Yeah. Okay, let's meet some of the team members in this video right now.
We had a tough time, you know, trying to put the ball in the back of the net. You squeeze a little bit too hard, you try a little bit too much. But I think we have some guys that can just can develop, can make that magic happen, you know, by themselves. And yeah, it's going to be tough sometimes because you're playing really good solid defenses. They're playing guys that are a lot older, but we have guys that I think can create out of nothing, and I think that's the difference from last year is we've got that guy that can score that special goal.
Your first home game with the Wolfpack, you're from here, you got to expect you're going to have a lot of buddies and friends and family in the crowd. What do you think it's going to be like to have a Friday night game at Hillside?
Yeah, definitely. I already got a few of my friends and stuff like that texting me, hey, when do you play this and that, and so it's going to be really exciting. It's supposed to be a beautiful night on Friday, so let's hope the game goes well, and yeah, let's hope everybody's going to score goals this season. Of course we're going to score goals. Lots of them.
It almost seems like you guys are flying under the radar a little bit, even though it's a national championship season. I mean, I don't know how much stock you put in these coaches' polls, but they have you 5th on there.
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
I don't really take much stock into those, to be honest. Nobody knows who everybody has, and we're still, at the end of the day, considered a small school and compared to everybody else. You know, you've got the big schools, the UBCs, the Trinities, MRU, Calgary, U of A, Victoria. Compared to all of those guys, we're small pickings. So really, at the end of the day, I think I think people are concerned when they come in and have to play against us, and that's all that really matters. I'm not too concerned about polls or where we're sitting or where people see us at. So yeah.
I mean, how important is it for you guys to start scoring?
You can't win games unless you score, right? So we really understand how important it is. John's seen that weakness in us and has addressed it. Like I said, having Yost come back, it was unfortunate he got injured, but his dedication off the pitch has allowed him to come back in time for the season. Ryan Lewis is firing on all cylinders right now. Ante from the Whitecaps is looking great. Alessandro's, you know, straight from the Whitecaps residency, looking as sharp as ever. Like, the list can go on. Patrick Gazette, Marco, like Danny Sagno, Dylan Hooper. Like, honestly, I feel like with the depth we have as well this year, it's going to be the real difference.
What's it feel like around this team right now? It's such a big season ahead.
Oh, good. It's been feeling good. Everybody's been anticipating that. I mean, obviously everybody's been enjoying the entire time anyway, but I feel like especially in the last couple of weeks with going to Spain and then being here all together and anticipating the big tourney at the end, spirits are really good and everybody's buzzing to go.
I think part of your job, a big part of it's going to be to score goals, and this is a team that's kind of struggled to score goals. I mean, how much of a focus has that been for you guys, understanding that you need to put the ball in the back of the net?
Oh, it's a huge thing. Obviously, it's not just people watching, but ourselves realizing that the goals are what's missing. But we're pretty good at not pointing fingers at individuals, but rather just taking it as a team approach, changed a bit of our setup, and then also just trying to figure things out by ourselves. And then every player individually also has to have a bit more of that hunger to get to net. But I'm pretty confident this year we'll get there.
Time in! Play it in! Attack! Good! Pull out to the top! Finish!
How nice is it to have a somewhat normal start to a season?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the last couple of years have impacted, we've been impacted significantly, like all the other teams, with obviously COVID, and then when we felt like we were coming out of it, then we had the fire season up here, and so that kind of impacted our preparations up here. So it feels really good to actually have a proper pre-season and be able to train at home and you know, really work as a group.
It sounds like you had some pretty good results against some decent teams in the pre-season. How was that? Boosted confidence?
It was good. I think going into it, at least I was confident because I've never seen the team, so some of the girls were not as confident, but I think we just proved to ourselves and everyone else in the league that we are here to compete and we are not the TRU that was playing last year.
Do you have a chip on your shoulder? You want to prove people wrong?
I think so. I think there's this like, obviously with the results that you saw from last year, I don't think that's an indication of the team. I think it's time to prove to people that we deserve to be here and we are contenders, because I fully believe that this team can make playoffs and even Final Four, to be honest.
Like we mentioned earlier, the Wolfpack open their season this Friday, 7 o'clock at Hillside Stadium against the #1 team in the conference, ranked UBC. Saturday it's UVic, 7 o'clock, same time. The women don't start until September 3rd, and that's at noon at Hillside. I think it's Calgary they play. Let's wrap the show. Thoughts?
Good show. It was fun to have the kids in here because it's like it shows you the two. Well, just we used to be that age and then that age, and
Yeah.
it's neat to see the nervousness and then some of the bubbliness, the what's the word I'm looking for? Like the optimism for going forward. Even though I'm looking at the world thinking it's going to end, it'll be okay.
Lena, she was nervous, but she did a really good job today. So great job, Lena. Her sister was in the car, and she didn't get to come out. So we'll flash a picture of Audrey up right now, so she gets some camera time, and we'll also flash up Hermels.
Hermels.
He goes to center stage next week. Again, you can tell he's jealous of Gord getting all the attention today. Get on down to Gord's. Check out their contest if you're in need, and maybe you could use an appliance. Apply online at gordskamloops.ca, I think is the address. If you need berries, go down to New Leaf Produce Market. If you need McDonald's, coffee,
Should have got it.
you should have got it. All right, that's it for us. We'll see you last week.